Eloheinu, Yahuwah, Eloheinu Achad, Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah.
All right, guys. Shalom, shalom. Welcome. Just give me a second here. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me. My name is Matiyahu, your End Time Watchman, as you see at the bottom of the screen there. Thank you guys for joining me. Welcome. Hope you guys enjoyed our last Shabbat talk. I thought it was pretty interesting. I have more of these talks coming up to where I'm going to be, just pointing out some of the errors that I've been finding over YouTube in the Torah world. You know what I mean? Once again, not to hurt anybody or offend anybody or anything like that. I just pointing out things that I'm seeing that I'm noticing that are wrong. I'm just curious as to why this is. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you guys are liking the videos, make sure you guys give a thumbs up, hit that like button. I appreciate it. Comment down below in the comment section. The more you guys comment, give a thumbs up. It helps me get these videos out in the algorithm. Share this video if you want. Share this video with people. Let's get the truth out there. I know we live in a pretty vexing world. Been a pretty interesting last couple months, or a year, I should say. But we do the best we can. We trust in Yahusha. So, I know that the last video I did, some people thought it to be like a mock or a mockery or something like that, and that really was not my intent. Let me move my camera over here a little bit. That really was not my intent. It's not my intention to mock anybody or to be ruthless or to hurt anybody's feelings or to condemn anybody, or that's not my job. I'm not the judge, Yahusha's the judge. I'm just find it odd that there are, teachers that are saying one thing about the Savior, and then this one says another thing about the Savior, and then they're all kind of lumped in together with each other, and acting as if we can just say whatever we want to say and all things go, and that's okay, right? But if a Christian, and a lot of you Torah people understand this, if a Christian says something, you guys attack the crap out of them, but you won't go after the people that are within the body if they're making a mistake. We're supposed to edify one another, and iron sharpens iron, reprove and all of that. I don't do much rebuking, that ain't really my thing, but reprove, definitely, right? Okay. Today, man, I'm going to talk about worship. What is worship? I think a lot of people have this. I've seen it on YouTube. They get down on their knees, they throw their hands in the air, and they cry and they pray for like 5 hours. And I guess that's what they call worship. The music, all of this stuff. And I'm not saying that some of that isn't worship. You know what I mean? Because it is. But we've done a lot of it to JC. You know what I mean? And I think that we've kind of forgotten what true worship to Yahuwah is now that we've come in covenant with the Messiah. What is true worship? Is it what we see on TV or on the YouTube? Is that worship, right? What is true worship? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What is it? I'm curious. Now, I know what worship is, but let's find out what is worship. That would be the title of this video. What is worship, or what is true worship? Okay, a lot of people say, I worship him, really? Okay. And it's just from an excerpt that I'm reading. You guys probably can't see it, but it's just from an excerpt off my phone, so I thought it was pretty interesting. The word worship is 2 words. Worth-ship. It simply means the outward showing of respect and esteem to a higher authority. The key elements necessary are fear and humility, and ultimately love. Fear is not used in the sense of terror, but rather respect for another's awesome power and authority. Now, the Hebrew concept basically has always been termed obeisance, or the status of a servant who obeys his master. Our word obey comes from the Hebrew word obad, O-B-A-D, or servant. The prophet Abijah means servant of Yah. The generosity and fatherhood of Yahuwah demands his creatures to return praise and recognition. He has feelings, wrath, humor, compassion, and jealousy, and a desire to have an intimate relationship with each of us. Yahusha calls us his brothers and sisters. Now, the writings of the Tanakh and the Nazarene writings show his love for us by providing the rules for living in peace, and it is the perfect book of law. It is a light for us to walk in, and without it, we stumble in darkness. He has literally created us to be a part of his family. Worship is action we perform, and is seen outwardly as obedience. It is the expression of our core belief. Belief without works, which is outward action, is dead. In the hands of men, the worship has become perverted, and we serve another entity deceived by diversion tactics. Very few understand that Yahuwah expects them to obey his instructions, and instead, most obey the traditions of men. Now, worship is not something we do only one day each week. We obey every day. That means, you know how they get together every week and they get on their hands and knees, have the music, they cry for hours and hours. That's what they think worship is. Not to say that some of it isn't worship, just saying that's what they think. And they only do it one day of a week. They don't obey. All that worshiping and crying and throwing their hands up, praise JC this, praise JC that. They're praying to a false deity, and then, or let's say you're praising Yahusha. Let's say you praise Yahusha all day long, but then you're not obedient to him. You're not actually worshiping him in the correct way. Remember, they teach us how to love, right? The 10 words. We must adopt the pattern of living we see in the 10 words, the commandments. They teach us how to love. They are the living waters and the food which Yahusha desired, Kepha, and empowering the predators or wolves who parasitically plunder them. Oh, excuse me, I read a little bit forward there. Excuse me. The 10 Commandments, they teach us how to love. They are the living waters and the food which Yahusha desired Kepha, that's Peter, Shimon Peter, to feed his sheep, the 10 Commandments. That's what he wanted them to feed, the 10 words. Like, as you guys probably are like, man, this guy's always talking about the 10 Commandments, always talking about the 10 words, because that's what Yahusha told us to teach the nations. So that's the reason why you guys, if you're wondering why I bring it up all the time, why it's a mainstay. Now, today the sheep are being fleeced and empowering the predators or wolves who parasitically plunder them and lead them from obeying Yahuwah. The parable about the hirelings who work in the vineyard while the owner is away shows us that they want the business for themselves. Matthew chapter 21, verses 33 through 45. Now, the world is the vineyard. Yahuwah dwells in his temple, right? His people, right? Us, who make up the living stones. So we make up the living stones for his temple, okay? And he dwells in us. Yahusha threw the merchants out of the man-made temple who had turned it into a den of thieves. Instead of being a place of worship and learning, it had become defiled because tradition had turned worship into a business. Now today's clergy has become what the temple priests and scribes had been in temple times, yet they don't seem to be aware of it. They are plundering the flock and usurping the promises without obeying the covenant. One cannot claim to be a fellow citizen of Yisrael and ignore the everlasting covenant. So you can't claim to be one of his children. I worship him every single day and I worship him and then not be obedient. Okay? You can't revel in the good things of Yahusha and then not be obedient. Pretty much you can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess. But true worship comes from obedience. What's obedience, guys? That means obeying his commandments, right? That's what he asks us to do. He tells us, obey my commandments if you love me. So Yahusha says, you love me? And we as believers say, well, yeah, of course we love you. He's like, well, how come you're not obeying my commandments? You're like, but I every day I cry out to your name and I call out to your name and I cry out and I pray and I worship you. He's like, yeah, but you break the Sabbath. You don't rest. You buy and sell. You leave your dwelling. Or you're a murderer. You have hatred in your heart for your neighbor. You know, the worship was nice, but I didn't accept any of it because you blasphemed my name next to it. So I don't accept your worship. It's almost like he takes your worship and steps on it and squishes it. It's like nothing. You know what I mean? It's pretty much you just sitting there breathing hot air for however long you sit there and breathe hot air. However much hot air you got in you. I'm not, like I said, calling out anybody in particular. I just think that these are things that, we should discuss. Anyways, if you guys like the video, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section. I appreciate it. Share this video with anybody that you know. Let's get the word out there. But anyways, I do love all you guys with all my heart. Thank you guys for joining me, especially for all the Shabbat talks. You guys make it pretty lively. It gets pretty interesting in the chat. I like where we're going with everything. I'm going to continue. I have more things to talk about. These Torah teachers, supposedly they call themselves, on YouTube. We're going to go through more of last Shabbat talk. I showed the outward righteousness that these men show, that they think that they have to show anyways. And then we're going to talk about what comes out of their mouth. Now we're going to talk about the doctrine, the false doctrine that comes out of their mouth. And these men say that they're studied and educated and all that, so they've done their homework. So they're without excuse. So we're going to go into, what they're saying, these Torah teachers, and why they're the predominant Torah teachers on YouTube. I think it's because they're ear ticklers, and I can prove it. Me, I'm not popular because I don't tickle your guys' ears and I don't kiss your guys' butt, and you guys know that. You guys know that on here, this is where the buck stops, right? This is where the truth is. I drew the line in the sand, and this is where, either it's Yahusha or not. Which one do you want? You know what I mean? He's the one asking you the question, not me, to be honest with you. It's what Elijah was asking the prophets of, Baal. If you want to worship Baal, worship him. If you want to worship Yahusha, worship him. Pick one, though, So anyways, this is going to tie into some videos I have coming up. I'm going to be talking about the Sabbath. I'm going to be doing a video on that. And I'm going to be doing a video about how to tell time, Yahuwah's calendar. When's the first of the year? When do we observe the feasts? When do we do this? When is, Yahuwah's calendar actually? Not what everybody else keeps saying, because I've been hearing a lot. I've been doing a lot of studying, guys. That's why I haven't made a video yet. And maybe we will have some open discussions about the stuff after I bring my point across. I want to bring my point across first, and then we can have a discussion about it, okay? I want you guys to hear what I have to say before you interrupt me or anything. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys what I think about the Sabbath and the feasts and telling time and all that about with Yahuwah. I'm going to give you guys what I think about all that. And then we'll go from there, okay? So how about that? All right, hear what I got to say, and then on the Shabbat Talks, you guys can ask me, what you think about it, Listen, I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you guys for joining me. Once again, make sure you guys join me every Friday. I go live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my Shabbat Talks. You guys can join me live and come on and talk with me live and discuss, these topics that we're discussing. Come on there and you can go in the chat. I put a link in the chat. People can come on live and they can actually discuss stuff with me personally if you want. And we can have a discussion about the faith topic. Just no profanity. Keep it to the faith topic. No personal attacks, guys. Let's just stick to doctrinal issues. But anyways, I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you guys for joining me. Let me get ready here. Like I said, if you guys like the video, please leave a like, comment in the comment section, share this video with anybody. And like I said, let me get this. I should really get in frame. Like I said, every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, join me for my Shabbat Talks if you guys are interested. Hit the subscribe and the notification bell if you guys want to know when my videos are actually popping up. So, all right, I love you guys with all my heart. You know how this goes. At the end of all my videos, I love to say, run to Yahusha.